Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Gorlock-The
Roots of
Woe.
Ultimate Musings and Rachel, Nuclear Rachel that is, requested this song for the big homie, Blake, for his birthday. So happy birthday, Blake.
Happy birthday, big homie. This, it's like, I think this is like the second review. Man, this guy Blake has got, he's got some really good friends.
I know.
Blake does nuclear reactions. One of the best, if not the best in the business. Check him out, like, share, comment, subscribe. We will hopefully remember to put his thingamajiggy in the description. For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. If your day is going too well and you're too happy and you want to be frustrated, angry, sad, depressed, and enraged,
we have a place for you.
We have a place for you. There are multiple ways to get your song reviewed. Dear listener, my favorite way is a community option. $1 to gate gets you into Patreon, where you will meet the amazing Helen Dross, the mighty Ian, the beautiful Leah of the village, etc., etc., etc. You get basically recruited by alliance leaders, and then you guys get to pull your points together. On top of that, there's a whole bunch of different stuff based on the tier that you're at. Right now there's a 40-second clip of the band that we're all in, and I'm telling you guys, when the finished product hits, you're gonna be like, holy crap.
You are going to put that on repeat.
So anyway, the $5 tier gets you the first 40 seconds, etc. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. Now, if you're a filthy capitalist and you do not want to be in a team and put your points together and vote on a song or whatever, however the alliances do it, and you want to do it straight for yourself.
Or you want to get a birthday reaction for somebody.
$125 gets you straight to the head of the line, and you get to have your song reviewed. So with that being said, that's what the big homies did for Blake, and it's Blake's birthday. So we're going to do a reaction for Blake on his birthday, and we're going to go right.
Ready?
This is the birthday song?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, the joyous occasion. Oh boy.
They waited a while to finish that last line.
Good Lord.
I was waiting for it. You know what's interesting about this guy? Especially
He makes me want to be dead.
when you listen to that last note, is he can sing. Like,
yeah.
the dude was carrying that note, and then
Yeah.
the dude can legitimately sing. It's unbelievable to me. Like, it's not a waste because, you know, if you're making music that's coming from your soul, then you can't say it's a waste. But it's one of those things where it's like, damn, the dude could sing. Like, I'd like to have heard some more notes. But they're kind of like old school true cult black metal, it looks like to me.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the song and I'm like, this is a song that we're giving this brother for his birthday present?
I'm like, either you guys are bad friends or he's in a bad place or something's not right.
I was certain it was going to be a Lacuna Coil. So Blake's got a like very broad palette, you know, because he loves Lacuna Coil and those bands, but then this is like a old school true cult death metal band for sure. I mean black metal. It looks like a black metal band to me. Okay, this record is actually fairly new. It got released in 2019, according to Encyclopedia Metallum. Encyclopedia Metallum, for sure. Okay, so the name of the entire record is Thorax Hallways, and that's the last song. But the other songs are...
The whole thing ends this way.
What do you mean?
It was a really depressing song to me. And like the whole album ends on that note.
No, there's like 4 more songs after that. Lurking Birds.
So this is the last one.
No. Thorax Hallways is the last song, and it's also the title track to the record. But I don't believe that
it gets any happier.
It's going to get any happier.
I don't believe so either.
I mean, I do believe it's going to get happier for you, Blake. I'm just saying I don't believe that this record is going to get any happier. Lyrically, snared within the roots of woe, labyrinth deluged with black waters flow. Drowning to breathe within this anguished coil, tormented perceptions shudder and unfold. So...
wrought by ruin, ornamented with grief. It's so depressing.
Oh, these guys are... I don't know. I feel like the black metal guys are probably, like, as a group, some of the most poetic lyricists out there.
Sure.
Like, you know, like I'm in the middle of writing a song right now, and
sorrow itself is poetic.
I'm not. Well, it can be, but like, it's very interesting, like what comes out of you with the instrumentation, and then it's a weird thing because the instruments kind of bring certain things out of you lyrically, but then it's weird because sometimes the lyrics also drive what you do with the instrument, which is kind of weird. So I was having a lot of fun till 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, just working on my stuff. I'm very excited for my pedal to show up, so that's coming. I'm very happy about that. But that first stanza, snared within the roots of woe, labyrinth deluged with black waters flow, drowning to breathe within this anguished coil, tormented perception shudder and unfold. So it's like he's stuck. And he's talking about the roots of woe, which I talk about a lot. You know, the differences between the fruit of an issue and the root of an issue. Because the fruit of an issue is the consequences of what happens, but it's usually a surface level situation. Whereas, you know, so that would be the fruit of an issue. Whereas the roots are like what's dug down deep and what's like at the most native to your being, to your core. And that's what he's talking about. So this is like a deep-seated roots of woe, and he's in a labyrinth deluged with black waters, which is, you know, a labyrinth is one of these giant mazes that he can't get out of. And so I'm looking at these lyrics, I'm like, SubhanAllah, what are you guys doing? How the hell is this good for Blake? Drowning to breathe within this English coil. You know what's interesting?
Well, maybe it's like, oh, this is where you used to be, and now you're not anymore.
Right.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Blake.
I don't know.
Well, what's good about this, at least first stanza, is that the guy is at least trying, right? Because he's saying he's drowning to breathe within this anguished coil, which usually that's talking about a person's body, a person's life, you know. Shakespeare was talking about, you know, shedding the mortal coil or whatnot. So it looks like he's talking about attempting to stay alive, trying to be,
That's not what I got from
make
it.
his way out of the world. Go ahead. What did you get?
Drowning to breathe. The only way that he can breathe or feel like that he's actually surviving is when he's in a bad duress, like, sort of situation.
Yeah, that's because it's not saying he's trying to breathe as he's drowning. He's saying he's drowning to breathe. Yeah. Maybe because the black waters are flowing. I think sometimes, like, with people, it's like, okay, this is never going to change. So then they reorient their entire, emotional or their inner life because they believe that the darkness is never gonna get lifted. Wrought by ruin and ornamented with grief, one must hang within the branches, for they will not break. And he repeats it that they will not break.
See, to me, that's, you're just going to hang within the branches. The branches aren't going to, you're like never going to escape this.
Well, yeah, and he's hanging on, but the branches won't break.
If the branches would break, you'd fall and probably die. But that's not what's going to happen. You're just going to hang there in misery.
Yeah. Which then leads to despondent formations, created of mind, living on hate and darkness of all. That's a good... The mind is a hell of a thing. Because a lot of times people's misery are self-created. And it's a very thin line that it's almost impossible to really have the mastery of being able to tell the difference between what is really troubling you and what is troubling you because you invented the trouble in your head. And there's nothing you can do to convince a person. If they are fully convinced of it, forget it. There's nothing you can do. And I think this guy is, one step to, like, ultimate freedom, I think, is to recognize when that's happened. And that's massively important. The problem is that, human beings can barely do that for themselves, much less another person. So, but that's a pretty crazy line to me. Despondent formations created of mind. And then it ends up with living on hate and darkness of all, which goes back to the drowning to breathe thing. Like, he's drowning to breathe, and then he's living on hate. And
not just his own darkness, but everyone else's as well.
Somebody asked me something in a fireside. They were talking about, like, how can you say that only Christians have eternal life if people in hell are alive? And I was saying, well, there's a difference, especially from a biblical perspective, but even from a non-biblical perspective. There's a difference between existence and living. Like, when a person's enjoying life and loving people around them and things of that nature, and obviously we would say connected to God from a biblical perspective, that is a person who's actually living. A person who's disconnected from God and completely fold within themselves is existing, but they're not living. And so when it says living on hate and darkness of all, again, you don't necessarily need to be a Christian to know that if you're garnering your life force and energy and sustenance from hate and darkness, that you're not really living.
Right. Absolutely.
Like you're not in a state where you're really truly alive. You are existing though, and that then becomes your ultimate reality. And again, it's saying this will not break, which I'm assuming is, it says one must hang within the branches, and then in the previous verse. So it looks to me like the branches are hate and darkness. Those are the branches that he's hanging on to.
Oh.
Because you have the the refrain of the will not break happening.
Yeah.
So if you look at the one right above it, that's what it looks like to me. Is like it's sort of a chiastic structure to some degree. Hysteria of the forsaken. There's one time I was in a mall. I was in a mall one time. I was a little kid. I was 7. And we were Christmas shopping, and my mom said, "Vincent, stay close." And I didn't stay close. I went around, blah, blah, blah. Well, an hour and a half went by, and I realized that my mother wasn't there.
Hour and a half?
Yeah. I was just wandering around, and I realized that my mother wasn't there. And I was freaking out, and I started panicking. I started crying. Of course, my mother hadn't forsaken me. I mean, I had gone off, but the concept of the hysteria of a forsaken person, I think, is, and the thing is, like, inside, I said to myself, if I find an adult, I'll be okay. So, like, I was externally like, but, like, really, really, really deep inside in the center of my being, I was like, man, if I find an adult, I think I'll be all right. So
and the mall is full of adults.
Yeah, so I went to this adult, this lady, and I said, can you help me find my mother? I was in a clothing store. I think it was like a JCPenney or something like that. She said, and people liked me when I was younger because I had these big fat cheeks, and I had these big eyes. People liked me. And the lady, I could tell the lady liked me. Hello, lady, how are you doing? And long story short, they basically went on the intercom and they were like, can the mother of Vincent, yada yada yada, come to the service desk or whatever? And of course, my mother was there. She was by herself. I guess my older brother had taken Jamie to sat him in the car or whatever, because she was looking all over the parking lot for me and everything. And then she went inside the mall, and as she went inside the mall, that thing came over the intercom. So she came running, and my mom had a pretty bad situation where she had a compound fractured knee, so she wasn't very good on her, but she was running, and I was certain, I am a dead man. I was happy though, but nothing happened to me. She actually took me out to get an ice cream. She was happy I was
safe.
She was happy I was safe. So she was crying, oh, Vincent. And I started crying too. I was like, yes, this is, I said, if I cry, I'm definitely not going to get in trouble. I think I'm in the clear. And I did. I cried. I said, hey. And I was in the clear. I got an ice cream. I was the only one that got an ice cream, by the way. My older brother.
All the ones that stuck around did the right thing, didn't.
My older brother, who was the hero of the situation, got nothing, and that was pretty much his life. And my younger brother, he was a baby at the time. So yeah.
My parents talked so much about strangers and all that whenever I couldn't see my parents, I panicked big time because I didn't think if I find an adult, I'm going to be all right. I thought, now an adult could take me.
I was never afraid of strangers. But I could just imagine, like, the line in Dante's "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." And I don't believe, I did an extended Bible boogie one time about the concept of hell or whatever, and I don't believe that the fire stuff and all that is literal in the Bible, and there's very, very good reason for that. There are passages that make it abundantly clear that you want to be in the fire. So I don't believe that hell is a fiery place. However, every time I say that, there's always somebody that goes, phew, okay. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that it's a good place to be. And I think that concept of being a kid, that feeling of being a kid and separated from your parent, but at the core of yourself knowing that you're going to be okay, if that piece of you is gone and you experience that forever, that alone is enough. Mm-hmm. So it's that line right there. Like, it will drive you mad with hysteria, I think, to truly because from our perspective, nobody on this planet is completely forsaken by God. A lot of people think that if a bad situation happens to them, God abandoned them, and for me personally, believer or unbeliever, and this is a revelation I got from God, which was, look, no matter how bad things are, they would have been much worse if I was not with you. And that's something that God imposes on people, whether they like him or not in this age, because God is gracious. So none of us have really experienced what it's actually like to be completely forsaken, specifically by God. I was telling my son, because he feels like the whole world is against him. And I was like, listen, God knew that you were alive before I did and before you knew that you were alive. So all you've ever had was God. So don't worry about that stuff. You use it use a season in your life as a way to get close to God and to connect yourself with him, because he's been the only one that's gonna love you like that. And if you're looking for that with other human beings, forget it. So, you know, I always say Christianity is a very, very convenient religion. I'll tell you what, because there's so many issues in the human soul that it takes care of. And again, you don't necessarily have to be a Christian to find ways around the feeling of abandonment and things like that. It's directly there. You have these never will I leave you, never will I forsake you type of things. And then it says, abandoned and left to constrict, bound within the ageless roots of woe, mirthful reflection suffers in retrograde. That's a pretty crazy line, because basically he's saying all of his happy memories are either fading or he's losing them. And then it says living on hate.
Sounds like hell.
This entire thing to me is my understanding of hell. I've always said that hell is basically a cross between The Purge and The Walking Dead. And that's sort of like an external sort of thing that everybody can immediately understand what I mean by that. But this, if you wanted to know what the hell was like in the internal soul of a person, this song is pretty much everything. As I've said before, you know, when it says abandoned and left to constrict, like, you know, that's the thing. I say to people all the time, like, when God is mad at somebody, you know, he doesn't throw down fire and brimstone on them. As a matter of fact, when he throws down fire and brimstone at somebody, it's because he's trying to get their attention. Somebody was like, well, that's a hell of a way to get attention. I agree. But when he's really, really mad, he goes, all right, you got it. Go ahead.
Leave me to your ways.
And that's hell. I mean, subhanAllah. So happy birthday. On that note, happy birthday, Blake.
Hope it's a good one.
I hope you're having a good one. Maybe we could put a cake thing on here, and maybe I'll do one of these in the screen cap so that people can think that this is a very nice, happy, clappy review. What do you give the song?
I was not a fan. I don't like how depressing it was, and the music itself, the vocal style, everything was just like, made me feel like, I don't know, lay me down on some piece of cement and bleed me out. I don't know. I didn't like the feeling. So it was like a 6 for me.
Lyrically, I was just very, very impressed with the way that he talked about what he was going through. So I got to give him credit for that lyrically. Sonically, I'm not a fan of not being able to understand what the guy is saying, especially when he's saying it so, you know, like I had it open. We have it open in a couple screens, and I had to like show you where we were.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that, especially when it's like mega poetic, because I feel like the audience is missing out. But what do I know? But having said that, I'm going to give this a solid 8.8. Superb writing, and it's actually, you know, inspiring to me. So, like, I'm not done writing this particular portion of a song that I'm working on, and it's probably going to get super poetic. So, there you go. Inspiring. There you are. Happy birthday, Blake. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.